Hello everyone, welcome to Back to Bob project. This is the Palo Alto region and I am the regional director Sky. So in this first episode of our video production, we are going to introduce you to the Baroque and classical period in the music history. And in the second episode, we are going to mainly focus on Romantic period. Hope you can enjoy.
Classical music is divided into 4 eras: Baroque, Classical, Romantic, and Contemporary. Each era has its own style, and compositions from each era reflect the characteristics of their time. The earliest era of the 4 eras is the Baroque era. Composers of this period include Handel, who famously wrote the Hallelujah, and German composer J.S. Bach. Features of music from this period include being religiously influenced, using a small range of notes, and using no or little vibrato. Many musicians of Baroque era, such as Bach, composed and played their music for the church or wealthy nobles. The church, especially, has a great influence on music under the support of the Treaty of Trent, which decided that art and music should express Christianity directly. Therefore, musicians aimed to play Baroque music to the cleanest sound possible, as many of the Baroque composers composed their piece to be played in the place of holiness. Another important piece about Baroque music is that it is so old and away from us. The Baroque period was hundreds of years ago. During these hundreds of years, instruments have evolved significantly. Therefore, instruments for which the pieces are composed are different from the instruments we use today. Many of them are less virtuosic. They have a lower range of notes, and at that time, many musicians hadn't even developed the vibrato technique. Let's say this is the range of notes you would hear from a Romantic era piece. And this is the range of notes you would hear from a Baroque era piece. And these are the vibrato string players would use for a piece from the Romantic era. They are broader and more romantic. And these are the vibrato that players would use for a Baroque era piece, which are small and less significant to the music as a whole. Next, I'm going to play Bach's Violin Partita No. 2, the Courante. Bach was a German composer of the Baroque era. His famous pieces include Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which is this piece, and the Goldberg Variations and the Well-Tempered Clavier. He also loved to compose pieces for dances, such as the Chaconne, the Allemande, the Sicilienne, and of course the Courante, which is the piece that I would be playing. The Courante is a Baroque dance for two, and since Courante literally means running, I'll be playing it in a relatively lively mood and at a faster speed.
And that was Bach's Violin Partita number 2. And now Asher Wong will play a Baroque oboe concerto composed by Italian composer Marcello.
Hello, my name is Kate Vo, and today I'll be talking about the Classical era. The Classical era is the period between 1750 and 1820. It features an elegant, lighter, and joyful style. While simpler, its pieces require meticulous phrasing. Some famous composers of this era are Mozart, Haydn, and Beethoven. We'll talk more about Beethoven later. Here are some fun facts about the classical era. Firstly, Joseph Haydn was known as the father of the string quartet because he made a significant contribution to its development. Secondly, in connection to chamber music, the main types of instrumental music in the classical era were sonatas, trios, string quartets, quintets, symphonies, and solo concertos. Now, there is a difference between the vibrato of the classical era and onwards compared to the earlier Baroque era. One feature of the Baroque music is that performers aim to produce a clear sound instead of a dramatic sound, and therefore musicians rarely use vibrato for Baroque period pieces. While in the Romantic period, vibrato was often used to make music sound dramatic. So basically, in the later eras, like classical and Romantic, the vibrato was a bit more wider, while in the Baroque period, musicians tried to use a bit less vibrato or even no vibrato at all. Now, Beethoven was a German composer and pianist who was deaf in his late years. Beethoven is a composer of both eras, and he marks the transition from the classical to romantic period. His earlier works are works that highlight the classical style, and his later works reflect more of the romantic style. So the next piece is the Beethoven Violin Sonata No. 5, commonly known as the Spring Sonata. This piece is one of his earlier compositions, so it therefore has a greater classical influence. As a duet, the violin and piano periodically switch roles to play the melody. You can hear the conversations between those two instruments. And lastly, this piece is named as Spring after Beethoven's death. Although it was not intended by Beethoven himself, it definitely resembled the lovely atmosphere of the warm spring.